a doctor of musical arts, a piano virtuoso, and a leading piano teacher in the United Arab Emirates. Welcome to an exclusive interview with Dr. Jordan Rashkov. Dr. Jordan Rashkov, thank you for joining us. Pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much for the invite.
Before I jump right into the first question comes from parents and students who are looking at pursuing piano as a profession. And they ask, in your experience, what are the essential components of professional piano education, and what are the main stages of the process of obtaining professional piano skills?
Well, first we have to start with the age. It's important to start anywhere between ages of 4 and 8, although there are some exceptions. Some people start even later, age 10, but these are, as I mentioned, exceptions. So dedication, obviously, will be the first thing. Just recently, I listened to an interview with a very famous piano pedagogue from New York, Seymour Bernstein. And he mentioned that he always talks to the parents, and he asks them to think about, can they dedicate 1 hour of their time? Because they will have to practice with the kid. The kid cannot practice on his own, obviously, because these are, highly complicated tasks. So the main stages will be obviously starting early, and then a professional curriculum will require an extensive work on technique that includes scales and arpeggios, that includes various etudes. Then works by the main styles in classical music. European classical music must be represented. There's a Baroque, classical, Romantic period, French Impressionism, 20th century. All these must be represented. Right. Students learn one of those programs every term. So this is more than 10 pieces per year.
Whoa.
And these pieces we use later for competitions and so on. This curriculum is followed by most conservatories in Italy, France, Germany, prep divisions of prestigious universities like Juilliard School of Music, for example. They follow that curriculum. This is very different than the British ABRSM and Trinity curriculums. They're wonderful, but they're secondary curriculum. They are not designed to train future professional performers. It's more like a wonderful structured education for music lovers, I would say. That can also be used for professional education, but the only condition I would say is the student must reach level grade 8 by the age of 9, 10, something like that. Then they would still be running together with the conservatory. And from that point on, the conservatory takes over. Why I teach that is because obviously competitions worldwide, everybody's trained in this curriculum. You cannot win a major competition with the secondary curriculum.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Age 9, grade 8.
That's actually quite normal. This is one of the requirements I heard. Even Dubai College, they require grade 8 by age 10. This is quite normal for like music merit entrance.
Okay.
To Dubai College. Yeah.
Great. And your students are known to be winning competitions from all over the world. Competitions in Europe, United States, Asia. All local competitions are usually won here in the UAE, are usually won by your students. Shaolin Zhang, your student of 8 years, even got into the world famous Juilliard School in New York. Juilliard famously accepting only 3 or 4 pianists from around the world for a bachelor's degree. What is really the secret to this success?
Well, there is no secret. It all lies in the methods we use for preparation. Obviously, we learn our pieces, and the next step is important to train them how to focus under pressure. Because during performance or public speaking or like some solo sports like gymnastics, let's say, or figure skating, there is so much pressure on the one performer, because everybody's staring at the person judging them. It is very important not just to just provide the piano skills, but to train them how to deal with the pressure of performance. That means a cortisol and adrenaline. These are the stress hormones. They find their way into the bloodstream. That results in you start yawning because the blood withdraws from the brain and moves to the larger muscle groups. This is a fight or flight response, kicks in. That's how we are designed. Next thing is the hands are sweaty, cold and shaking, and you need them to perform very difficult tasks. So It really, our body actually in this situation almost like works against us.
Yeah.
And we have to train ourselves as performers and also the students how to navigate that stress. So we start basically with practice performances. These groups of students. I usually get all my students and the parents in one room, and then they have to perform in front of everybody. And mistakes are allowed because it's a safe space.
Okay.
They can train their memory, see can they focus and start the performance and finish it. We do several of those. They're encouraged to practice also the same. They can play for their friends or school concerts, like the Dubai College has those regularly. Next step is obviously we participate here in different concerts in Steinway Hall. And then we start practicing how to compete using local competitions. This is our next stepping stone. If we're successful for the top students, then we move on and we can compete, apply. And if we get invited, because big competitions are invitation only, then we compete in the US and Europe.
So you can perform perfectly in front of a camera. I mean, a student can have a perfectly, a performance before a camera or before his family or before his music teacher. But when you put him in a concert hall before a live audience, it's like completely different.
You have to train them. It's like you cannot run a marathon. You have to start like small, 1 mile.
And it's normal to feel this kind of flight or fight response.
Exactly,
right?
because the truth is, it will never go away. I mean, only maybe crazy people never experience it. But a normal person, a healthy mentally person, they will always experience butterflies in the stomach. They will start yawning because of not enough oxygen is reaching the brain. That's why we're yawning. Then everything is sweaty. Hands, you can see this during performances. Hands are shaking, like when you see like a close-up of even great performers.
Yep.
Actually, it's quite normal. We need to train them how to live with it and navigate it.
But does it get better over time? Like if you keep facing an audience?
Yeah, it does. It's like a muscle. First of all, the mental ability to focus and the memory is something that you can train as a muscle, and it becomes better. Also, you gain confidence, and the confidence really helps. After several successful performances, you know you can play very well, and this is very helpful.
That sure sounds exciting and frightening at the same time. But certainly not all piano students plan to pursue a career as a concert pianist.
So that's true.
And that brings us to the next question. How does this line of work support the academic centers, the academic careers of students when they apply for university? So students who are not applying for piano as a career, but rather to universities, how would this help them in their academic career?
Well, my students mostly apply for the United States. Have people who study piano, obviously, but many of them major in computer science. They go to medical school. I've had people in various areas in industries. Prestigious universities in America, in particular, look for outstanding candidates. That means academically very strong, but people with achievements in different areas, not just simply focused on physics or mathematics alone, but with achievements also outside the area of science. Or if you're focused in humanities, they would expect achievement in natural science or arts or sports. So these would be members of junior national teams of countries, or winning a major tennis tournament, or in our case is winning international piano competitions. So because this proves to the committee, when they start going through the files, that's a candidate who can commit. He is very well educated in different areas. Time management skills, exceptional, obviously, since he's so successful in science, but also in piano. This is quite an extraordinary candidate, and each university, will be fighting to have that person. This is where the competitions kick in. Of course, many of them decide to major or minor in piano as well. What that does is it does enhance the chances for scholarship. Also, double majors have priority when they apply for Ivy League universities later. Usually goes first triple majors. The committee looks at them, double majors. Obviously, chances are much higher to enter an Ivy League school like Harvard or Stanford or Berkeley and so. as a double major. So some actually pursue that path. As a matter of fact, I have a student just now contacting me for lessons, computer science, Northwestern University in Chicago, and piano performance. And he plans on giving a recital here end of August.
All right.
So, yeah. So, this, and needless to say, all the benefits, ability to focus. It's the only subject that trains you to focus and it's a major survival skill in life, isn't it?
I mean, absolutely. I've actually, interestingly, there's been a lot of articles mentioning the connect between mathematics and piano. Is this something you observe?
It's funny you mentioned it, because actually one of my top students is also rated, I think, 14th or 15th in the world based on points won at Mathematical Olympics and all various math competitions. They have a ranking apparently. Most of my best students are also excelling in mathematics. They also win math competitions.
Wow.
The Chawla brothers, the younger Abhay Chawla, he's an exceptional talent and just got accepted at Cambridge with applied mathematics.
Amazing.
If you can imagine, yeah. Right. So I spoke to some of my students last night. We went out, and I was asking them how does that affect your career, and they were saying basically piano forces you to use all elements, all centers. This is something that usually doesn't happen when you do sports or and all kinds of other benefits like enhancing IQ in embryos, in all kinds of research in that area and so on. Excellent. Establishing work habits, work ethics and so on.
Amazing. Very informative. Thank you.
My pleasure. That's what I'm here for.
Well, let's move on to some of the more generic questions, which are from the larger base of people who are not necessarily pursuing piano as a career. Maybe they just love classical music, and that would be, what should parents look for when they choose a piano teacher?
Well, I'm asked that question rather frequently. My answer is always, one should look at the success of the students. And of course you can look up the teacher, the way he plays, his bio, his experience and so on. A lot more importantly, look at the students, the success rate. And not just one student, if you had one. No, you want somebody who consistently creates good players. Okay. So that would be my answer.
As parents, how can you check the progress of your child?
Well, I don't know, I guess you check how many prizes they won. I'm joking. No, it's quite obvious, isn't it? I mean, the student himself or herself, they feel the progress when they finally master that piece that they wanted to play. Or it's simply the piano playing itself starts sounding better. It's quite obvious.
Dr. Jordan, I have to ask, you've been in this business for a long time in the UAE. How, in your experience, how do you think House of Pianos has contributed to classical music?
It's the company, I would say, in the UAE that was most committed, from what I've seen, to piano education and music education. They've had running concerts for many years now on a weekly basis, even long before this wonderful hall was opened last year. Also, Mr. Shefkat, many times, when he's invited to major events and galas, he would always call me and ask if I can send one of my students to perform in front of all these presidents, dignitaries, princes, and so on and so forth. So that was definitely wonderful for their bios also, and professional CV. And now that we have the opportunity to perform here frequently, record on a wonderful instrument with wonderful sound production personnel, that is just fantastic. So I would say it's the only company in the UAE actually that provides this kind of support to students.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. I'm also recalling a very successful, hugely successful concert of yours that was last month, I think, and we were completely booked out in 2.5 hours.
What actually made me happier was the fact that my students' concert was booked out also, within 2 hours, I remember, and I was happy to see so many people standing.
I remember that.
And it is so crowded. So this made me very happy because at the end is for the kids, it's for the next generation.
great.
Yeah.
And now we move to the fun part.
Okay, there is a fun part. Okay.
Yes, which is obviously a surprise for you.
Okay.
But we've actually spoken.
Do I need to be nervous?
Well, the
a little
questions-
bit nervous. Okay.
So the questions after this is we actually had a little chat with your students and informed them that here's
okay.
their chance to ask you whatever they have to ask you.
Oh my God.
And if
Do you have the names?
no,
who is asking?
they won't be names, but
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and
I might be able to guess actually who is asking.
pick up the first. Are they going to be in trouble?
No, no one's in, not yet. Let's see.
Oh, this is a nice one. What makes you happy?
Well, family, friends, many things. Music, nature, many things. I'm like very open
Nature.
to joy.
Nice.
You know, and partying, as you know. You've been attending some of those in my place. So.
Yeah.
Many things, yeah. I consider myself a happy person in general.
You're an amazing cook, by the way. I think you know that.
Yeah, well, I have the weight to prove it, yes. So.
Let's hope the other questions are as innocent as the last one. Who's your favorite superhero and why?
Oh, okay, well, I grew up in Eastern Europe, so we were not really, I didn't grow up with Hollywood that much. Superhero. Am I supposed to come up with some like ridiculously funny answer, or
No,
because that's not going to happen since I barely know.
I mean,
them.
I know you're totally into Star Wars, aren't you?
Yeah, but that's okay. Darth Vader, I guess, would be my favorite. I love the fact that when he walks in and just chews the blood. I love this. I wish I had that quality without the breathing problem, but everything else I love.
Okay, got it. Darth
I want the
Vader's
cape and the thing and everything.
Whoa. Okay, this is interesting. Is there any
Oh,
is there any student that has never got your scoldings?
I don't. Yes. Yeah, many actually.
Really?
Very few. Very few have been, I guess, scolded by me. Mostly, I don't. Mostly, my teaching is I crack jokes and I try to keep it positive. Usually, people who are like not really trying. That is something that triggers me.
All right.
But most like Shaolin and the Charlie brothers and all these amazing Sarah and Sophie Shi, all these amazing players.
All right.
I mean, it's such a pleasure and such an honor to work with them. Why would I ever be scolding them? We do crack lots of jokes though. So,
Oh, lovely.
yeah,
I know. We've seen that. Your kids really love you. Let me. Oh, when he was a little boy, when you were a little boy,
all right.
did he like to play piano by himself, or did his tiger mom push him to
no.
practice?
I wanted accordion. I was fascinated by the fact that you can pull this thing and then pull it back, squeeze it, and I was like, I love this. I don't know what this is, but I want one. So like age 5 maybe, I saw it like a kindergarten teacher had it, and we were singing like kids songs, and I wanted one. And I shared that wish with my dear parents, and next thing I know, they brought me a piano and got me to a piano teacher, and I'm like, wrong. That's not what I wanted.
Oh.
So, that's basically how I started. I never asked for a piano.
Do you play the accordion? Have you tried?
Well, I wanted to, but they never bought me one. Instead, they bought me a real piano. And they were like, this is exactly like an accordion. It's just, it's just like, you play this way. You don't have to like pull and push and squeeze and tra-la-la. You just play like this. So, and I was fascinated by the sound you can produce when you push the right pedal, and then I was hitting it with my fists, so it was getting like super loud, and I was like, I'm good at this, But then, I was asked to practice. I don't have a tiger mom. My mother and father, both my parents had big careers, and they were very busy.
All right.
So we were like mostly like taken care by grandparents. So I did have a tiger grandma. So she was making sure that I was doing the practice, and I was crying, and but eventually I liked it. So.
All right. It was Tiger Grandma.
Yeah.
By the way, I have an accordion that I've been holding for the past 5 years in my room. I'm going to get it out, so just so that maybe you'll teach me.
I'm not an expert in accordion. As I said, I never got one really, but.
All right. And here we are at the last question. If you weren't a piano teacher, a performer, then what would you be and why?
I have a strong interest in different spiritual sciences. In history, I have a real passion for history. I could definitely see myself working in various areas of humanities, including even journalism. Even areas like law, I could totally see myself do that. But again, my passion is history. I'm used to do regularly lectures on European history, like online for students from outside Europe, mostly African students. Those were free lectures. We were doing them online. So I remember I covered like history of France, of Germany, Habsburg Empire, the Medici. It was supposed to be music history, but it's sort of, I realized they don't really know much about Europe. So I skipped the music and I just started teaching like history in general. So I spent like several years doing that. We will continue. We stopped during COVID, but now we'll continue with those lectures. So that is something I'm very passionate about.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Well, having said that, that brings us to the end of this interview. Thank you so much, Dr. Jordan, for this interview. I think it's been lovely. And we know that you'll be traveling for the summer, so we wish you safe travels and see you
so much.
when you're back.
Thank you very much.